More than 200 years ago, in 1794, the Oneida Nation held sovereign title to 270,000 acres of land in the new state of New York. But 1 year later, in 1795, New York started an aggressive land policy to methodically take possession of our entire reservation. Through a series of 25 fraudulent transactions, the Oneida were stripped of our centuries-old homeland in just 45 years, less than one man's lifetime. But we have never ceased in our efforts to regain it. Loretta Metoxen.
We were removed from this land. Our ancestors were removed from this land by conspiracy. That conspiracy was between the governor of New York, the Department of War, the Ogden Land Company, and a missionary. They needed that land to build the Erie Canal between 1817, it was started in 1817 and finished in 1825. Actually, our ancestors had to board barges on the Erie Canal and come to this city, the city of Buffalo, and then transfer to steamships to travel through the Lake Erie and Lake Huron up through the Straits, Mackinac, and down to Green Bay.
Finally, 200 years after New York began its land grab, 200 Oneida people came back to our homelands in central New York. For many, this first visit was one more step in completing the circle. On the sunny June day in 1994 that we left Oneida, Wisconsin, people didn't really know what to expect on our first Homelands tour, but for the most part, we were excited, eager to learn, and ready for anything.
I couldn't wait to get started. And it was nice to see a lot of people just there, you know, to see us off. It would have been nice if everybody could have came that wanted to come, but I was glad that I was one of them, you know, that had gotten through, one of the lucky ones. Because the trip was important, not just to me, but for my kids. So that's what I think about most now, because actually my kids are the ones that really kind of brought me back into, you know, finding out who I am. I'm finding out through them, and so everything I do is kind of like for their generation.
Learning a lot more about my culture than what I have in the past. You know, I'm really interested in that, and getting my kids more acculturated into the Oneida culture as well.
An educational experience not to be missed.
Yeah.
Of course, traveling with a large group does present certain challenges, like the old question, are you on the bus or off the bus? Sometimes it's kind of hard to get going, but we finally did. Next stop, Southwold, Ontario, home of Oneida Ag, the Oneida Thames Band, just in time for breakfast and a chance to stretch our legs and greet our brothers and sisters.
I always wanted to go to Canada, and I finally got to go to Canada.
I was kind of surprised that there weren't any Skedadors or Metoxens in the Canada reservation, but then we did find out that that some of the Elijahs were actually Skenadors. And so that was kind of an interesting thing, and I never realized that there were Oneidas that lived in Canada.
I toured the school in Canada there, and that was really nice. I liked it.
It reminded me of home maybe a few years ago, but I couldn't see much difference really. The people are the same, and the people are just as friendly, and so it's really a nice place.
And after adding the Thames bus to our convoy, it was back on the road and onward to Buffalo, New York, and the National Congress of American Indians, which was featuring land rights and the Oneida land claim in particular as its theme. Loretta Metoxen, Vice Chair, Oneida Nation, Wisconsin.
In 1951, the Oneidas of Wisconsin passed a resolution, and it was signed by Julia Stanford, who was the chair at the time, and Mamie Smith, who was the secretary, to initiate this case in the Indian Court of Claims. It was brought, and the United States government offered $3.3 million for 6 million acres. The Wisconsin Oneidas rejected that offer outright in about 1977, I think.
Terry Dockstader, Anyota Ag, Oneida Thames Band, Ontario.
The historic point of all this is bringing ourselves together again so that we can participate with oneness of mind in the negotiations to achieve our full land rates. We're at a point in history where the Oneida Nation is saying, those are our lands, we have rights to those lands, and we're going to enjoy those rights from now on.
The land. This particular land. What makes it so special to us? Why do we want it? Arlinda Locklear is an attorney and member of the Lumbee tribe who successfully argued our land claims case before the United States Supreme Court.
A land base is the geographic extent of an Indian tribe's power to govern itself, by and large, under federal Indian law. Without a geographic home base, it is more difficult for Indian tribes to fully express their powers of self-government and preserve their way of life as a separate people. Native people know that, and that's why Native people have insisted consistently that the return of land be a substantial part of any of these land claim settlements.
Clearly, to survive as a separate people, we need a land base. But as we visited our ancient homelands, these 270,000 acres of lakes and hills in the middle of New York State, it seemed much more than that. The attraction was mystical, personal, and very powerful.
This is where our ancestors have been laid to rest in our homelands over the years, and that has a lot of spiritual significance to a lot of our people, no matter where, what communities that they come from.
Chittenango Falls was one of the first pieces of land to be taken from the Oneida in 1795. Many of us camped here during our homelands trip. Tammy Ninham was one of them.
First time I was coming down, walking down the trail, and I went to the bridge, and I was like, I saw it, and I was like in awe. I didn't have any knowing of time or anything. I just sat there, and I looked, and I said, thank you. I just imagined how my ancestors, once they were walking in that same water, and that they were underneath the same falls with the water falling on their back. I knew I was home. I could actually call it home.
Laying in the creek below the falls, cooling off, looking up in the sky while I was laying in the water, and seeing the tops of the trees and the sky above me and the sun just took me back, and I just dreamed, basically drifted. It was great. When it might have been about 200 years ago or 300 years ago here, when there was nobody else but the Oneida people, and it was all our land here, and trying to imagine what our communities were like and how we hunted and fished and survived here. I wish I could stay.
At Oriskany battlefield, 500 Oneida warriors died in defense of the American colonists' cause. Despite the intense heat and the fact that public information there was somewhat misleading regarding Oneida involvement, Oriskany was a moving experience to those who visited.
I mean, I was walking on the land, and all of a sudden I got like this gut feeling or this sadness. I mean, I could feel, without even reading anything, I could feel how much bloodshed there was. I mean, I could feel the presence of spirits, ancestors, even though I don't really believe in it, but I mean, it's hard to deny it. I mean, I felt such a sadness when I was there. I mean, I felt like crying, actually.
At one point or another during the trip, many of us were moved to tears. But generally, they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of joy from a sense of completion and growth as we took our own personal journeys of identity.
It's like a circle has been completed. It's not sadness, it's really happiness, but it's so emotional. I didn't think it would be this way.
And it just feels real good to be here. And with the people around, it just makes me feel so happy. I could just cry being here. I was getting all emotional now.
This feels like we belong here, and every time I close my eyes and when we have socials, I can feel our ancestors. It feels like they're with us around here, and it feels so good that I don't want to leave and lose that feeling. But I'm happy to know that we can come back, and I just wish that I came sooner.
Everything's kind of been falling into place as far as kind of the healing processes that I've been going through for the last 8 years and trying to figure out and find my identity. So being around that many people, Oneida people, felt really good to me.
Yeah, I had a good trip. I'm still having a good trip. I feel as though my ancestors are around me. I don't know if I can speak anymore. It's like part of your growing up. It has to be in your part of your growing up. The family has to teach you that. Make you aware of who you are, what you are, where you came from. And maybe you'll get that feeling if you participate. All these years now we've been missing our traditions, and we're starting to make a comeback. I'm including me. That's why I think it's neat. And it really makes me proud.
On one of his visits to the homelands, Cliff Cornelius had a vision at Oneida Lake. As he was staring out at the water, he saw his ancestors paddling by in their canoes. I'm sure many of us could see them too. Of course, some places we went were just very, very hot. It may have had something to do with the unusual 90-degree temperatures, but we tended to prefer shaded sites which were on the water. At Fort Stanwix, for example, where the rights to our sovereign lands were so strongly secured by treaty in 1784, the historical lessons may have been borne away on the heat as our efforts concentrated on moving our scheduled picnic on the open grass to a more sheltering location nearby.
The Oneidas have rights and title to all of this land here, including this park. If you had this land and somebody said, okay, you got title to this land, what would you do with it?
Keep it.
You would keep it?
Keep it and move here.
You wouldn't sell it?
Nope.
No.
If I gave you $1 million, would you sell
Nope.
it?
No.
If I gave you $1 billion, would you sell it? No.
You have to look out for your children's children that want to be part of all this.
When I first got here, you see all the, everybody running around, the kids went under the waterfalls and they were swimming there. And I was looking around and it's like, they've always been here. We're home.
And we ain't leaving.
The dances. I didn't know there were so many Oneida dances.
The duck dance. First time I ever did the duck dance, and it was great.
Social dances. Dancing.
I've never seen those dances before.
The duck dance. That's the one.
Well, last night during the dancing, I felt coming together as one nation because there was, I guess, about 70 people dancing, and the silhouette that was made from the dancers was really something that just caught my attention, and it just stood out, and I think we all felt as one at that time.
My name is Otter, and I'm from the Wolf Clan. I was raised and born in that clan. My grandmother was a title holder. And when I was a young child, I heard a lot of stories about the wars, about why our people left. and how someday we'd go home. Today, finally, I've made my journey back, so the story ends for my people anyways, and for the wolf, it'll continue on, the stories within the wolf clan, and how one wolf made it back, not only myself, but all the rest of these wolves who stand here. We've come home, and hopefully this is where we're going to end up, finally, in my lifetime. Yawa.
We saved Champlain Battlefield for the last day of our tour, as it was a place of great significance and of great spiritual power.
And in the year of 1615, this was a fortressed Oneida village with many longhouses and with palisades surrounding those houses. Nichols Pond was out behind me in this direction, which was probably a substantive lake, and then surrounding the village and all the other areas was a moat for protection. And Champlain was a soldier, an explorer for the French, and he came down from the north with a number of Hurons to destroy the Oneida village on the site. And he lay siege of the village for several days, and the Oneidas repelled them, and in fact Champlain was wounded. And he withdrew, he retreated, and so the village of course was saved, and it changed the course of history for what is now the United States.
After the French attacked us, members of the Haudenosaunee, the powerful Iroquois Confederacy, refused to support them and sided with the British. Otherwise, we might well be speaking French today.
It's a feeling that you can't really explain, because you're seeing where your ancestors were fighting. You see the original stone. You see where they died, saved the country. You can see over here. And it's just something that somebody had to see to appreciate.
You know, coming back to the homelands, it's like I know who I am. I mean, there was an empty part in me that I knew I was Oneida, you know, but I didn't know anything about who I was. But, you know, I've learned who I am as far as my Oneida side.
I'm taking some of that land back with me. Who knows, but it might be some of my ancestors there. This is very emotional. I feel more so here than the other one because of the stone here. And is this part of the circle? I hope it's not the end of the circle. But if it is, I'll see a lot of friends, I think.
My name is Gufyok Duddy. That translates into English into along the river, which is kind of appropriate because I was raised on a river road in the Oneida settlement of the Thames. And when I was growing up there, I recall my great-grandmother talking about the land claim that we had back in New York. And coming back here today, it's a feeling of hope that my children will have a chance to hopefully get back here to settle this land again that the old people talked about.
I took some dirt. And I'm going to put it around by my grandma and my grandpa and my mom's because they're buried all together. And I think they'd like that.
I brought these pictures with me. They're pictures of my mother, my grandmother, and her parents. And the way I looked at it, I thought of myself as going home, like I normally did when I go to Oneida to see her. And since none of them are here anymore, I brought them with me to be a part of the trip. I thought of it as being educational for me, a support group, and coming out here, as well as personal reasons and things that I thought, well, maybe would tie up a part of a circle maybe that wasn't finished, something that I had to finish off. So I was very excited when I found out I could come. Excuse me. And I know I feel a lot better right now. I mean, I'm emotional right now, but it's like okay, Mom, you know, I made it here.
I enjoyed every day that we've been here. I used to see the names on the map, and it really didn't mean anything to me, but I always said, someday I'd like to go there, and it's really came true. I could say I walked where my ancestors walked.
I'm very enthused and excited about this trip because there are the three Oneida groups, the three Oneida, modern-day Oneida communities of New York and the Thames in Ontario and the Oneidas of Wisconsin are here today. They're visiting with one another. They visited with one another all week long and discovered that even after they've been separated for 150 to 200 years, they're all family. They recognize the likenesses of one another, that the tradition is still alive.
Ernie Stevens, member of the Oneida Business Committee.
It's a beautiful trip. You people are beautiful people. From the 20-month-old to our elders, thank you very much. And relish this moment. It's history. It's memorable. It's something we'll never forget.
I just hope that everybody can come back. Learned a lot. Really learned a lot.
I had a fine trip. I wish we could have had more time to spend.
I want to come back again. I wish we could stay longer.
Hoping that there's another chance to come back with all these new friends that I met.
I just hope that people put together another one of these trips so we can all come together again.
I like the falls. I got a couple of pictures.
I'm sure we'll see each other again.
I think it's wonderful we can get all our minds together, not just squabble against ourselves. Just work together. That's the main thing. Work together, and so far you have done so much for it. I think we should all work together and make something good out of it.
I wish I could stay. I wish I had more time to meet more of the people. It's been an experience that I'll never forget.
The land in here is beautiful, and we had good meals, and the people here were all friendly, and that's what we were up here for. And so that's what I enjoyed in the camping. I think that was the best. The camping and just being with our people on the lands where we originated from. I think that's the picture.
I think it was a really good trip. It was, you know, I have good feelings about it. It was nice to have the communities to get together and travel and go, you know, do the things we did. I thought it was really good, and I hope they do more. They say they're going to do more, and I really hope they do, because, you know, we need to get the people together. We need to unite.
I had fun. And your whole group, starting from the top to the bottom, they were marvelous.
I think the week went too fast.
Yeah.
It seems like we just started out and it's time to leave again. It was nice meeting new people.
Your lights is going off and on.
All these people that you see here is what made this possible. Without them, we wouldn't be here. And I'd like to say thank you. We hope that you've enjoyed yourself very much. So if we don't get to see you again, you have a safe trip home. And we'll say, Yanko. Nogiba.
Yo way high, yo way ho.